Hello, this is Peter Entwistle with another video. In this update I'm just going to quickly show you some of my banana plants that I've had growing indoors over winter and how they've fared during winter. So this one here in the middle that you can see is one of my dwarf Brazilian banana plants. This plant has continued to grow over the last few weeks especially. So it has put out a few new leaves, whereas some of my other banana plants haven't grown any new leaves really in the last couple of months. But I have noticed that the leaves that it has been producing have been fairly small, which is quite normal for this time of year since it's not been getting as much sunlight. Although as it is now spring, it should start to grow a little bit faster, and hopefully once I've transplanted it, it will start to put out much more mature size leaves. This one here is also another dwarf Brazilian banana. And this one you can see hasn't got as many leaves on it. It has been growing a new leaf, but it has been taking quite a while to open up. I think it's been at least a month since it started pushing through the top. But I'm not too worried, as with it being only the very beginning of spring, it hasn't been getting enough sunlight to get it growing again properly. But other than that, it does look fairly healthy. Again, both of these dwarf Brazilian banana plants will need transplanting. Probably do that in April. And these were new plants that I got the other year, and I did try growing them outside last year in summer, and they did fairly well, I'd say, considering we had a cool summer. Bananas don't tend to grow too well when they've been taken inside, so they'll either not grow much at all over the winter, or they'll just grow one leaf every month or two. But they hopefully they'll start to produce new leaves in the next few weeks. As the weather gets a little bit warmer and the days get longer, the banana plants will start to grow a lot faster. And I will be putting these two plants outside again, but I'll be leaving them in containers. So once it gets to possibly April, early May, I'll be looking to put them out, depending on the weather obviously. And I'll do videos about that when the weather gets a little bit better. Also, some of you may have noticed that I'm not in the usual place where I've filmed my videos before, and that's because I've moved into my own place recently. So I have more space now to be able to grow more plants, and I also have my own garden, a small garden, but I'll definitely be growing some more tropical and subtropical plants outside this year, and also in the next coming years. I will be doing a video later in the spring on my plans for what plants I'll be growing this year outside. But yeah, the banana plants, at least most of them, will be going outside, some in containers and some I will be trying to grow in the ground this year. I will do a specific video about that later in spring. Over here we have one of my Musa Sikkimensis banana plants. This particular one had no leaves on up until about a month ago. I thought I'd lost this plant actually, but I did cut it back. You see this top bit here, I did cut it off there because it did completely die back and all the leaves had shriveled up and it was all brown at the top. So I thought I'd lost this entire plant, but I decided to cut it off because I know that they will tend to push through new leaves if, as long as it's not been too badly damaged either by pests or root rot. And I think with this one I was lucky that it was probably mostly due to underwatering, in fact, as it's in quite a small container. And it does seem to dry out quite quickly. This, I do need to transplant this with some better, more moisture retaining soil later in spring. But since then it has actually been doing quite well. It has put out a couple of new leaves, as you can see, and hopefully it will be putting out some more very soon. At the side of it is the other Musa Sikkimensis banana plant. Again, this one wasn't doing too well either, but it has held on to its last leaf, and I'm fairly sure that it will make it. I've not seen any signs of new leaves yet, but yeah, I'm fairly confident it will be fine. So next I have a Super Dwarf Cavendish banana. This was a pup off one of my of the largest one I had. I think I put this in a new pot about a year or so ago. It's grown it was very slow growing because it didn't have much corm on it. But it has been doing okay, especially in the last month or so. It has put out a few new leaves, and these ones are looking quite healthy. And it has, you can see there's a new leaf about to emerge. I also noticed that it's been putting out some pups. There's one down there at the side, and there is another one on the other side. So you can see there is another one on the other side which has started to emerge in the last few days. You may have noticed before that there was that I had this on the plant, and this was part of my spider mite pest control. I'll probably do a more in-depth video about spider mite prevention and control. So yeah, I will talk about that more in a future video. But yeah, I have had spider mites on all of these plants, and it's been a constant battle the last couple of years to keep them under control. And I think the new treatment that I've been using seems to have worked. So I'm quite happy with that, and I will do a video once it's confirmed that it seems to have worked. So here is one of my Dwarf Orinoco bananas. As you can see, there's not much left of it. This was probably about twice the size of this last year, and all its leaves have dried up and shriveled up, and I've had to remove them at the side, so you can see the pseudo stem is only very thin now. As well as the spider mites, I think it's also been a bit of root rot. So yeah, the corm itself actually does feel firm, at least on this top part, but I think I'm going to have to remove this from this container, check the roots out properly. I have had a quick look when I took the plant out of the pot, and I did notice that there was some healthy looking roots in there, so I think it might be okay and it should come back, especially with this new leaf here. It does seem to be okay, but the last two leaves that it pushed through about a month ago shriveled up not long after they came out, so I am suspecting root rot on this plant. So I might have to take some more drastic action just to make sure that I can try and save the plant. It's been a couple of days since I recorded that previous clip, and as you can see, it has already opened up a little bit more, and the new leaf is already pushing through. So I'm fairly happy that this plant is starting to recover, as long as I make sure I don't overwater it too much. I think it should make a full recovery. So next I'm going to show you some of my winter losses. So this one here used to have the main Super Dwarf Cavendish banana plant. It's not the original one, it has been a few generations now, but I did lose it eventually due to root rot. The other one I showed you earlier was a pup from that plant, so I have still got one in this house here, but I also got another one still at my parents' place that I also took off a few years ago. So I still have a couple of them around. Yeah, I'm going to, as soon as I get some more pups to take off, I'm going to transplant them and keep growing them on. So I also have a few spare backup plants. But that is one of the main issues that I run into with the bananas, especially in winter. It's root rot. You have to be very, very careful that you don't overwater them and that you've got well draining soil, which this didn't seem to be. It feels very dry on top, but down in the bottom of the pot it's been still very moist. So I definitely need to go for a more free draining soil mix next time. In this pot here, it might be quite hard to see, but there is one of my dwarf Cavendish banana plants. This one again I think has been suffering due to root rot. I did dig this out completely and replanted it in here. I've checked the comb and it is still firm. I might need to replant it again actually. It doesn't feel like it's, I think it needs to be a little bit deeper in this pot. Put some more soil on as well. But I'm hoping that it will push a new leaf through again, as long as it's not completely dead. It doesn't have any roots on it though, but I'm hoping that it will grow some new ones soon. In this container here I have another dwarf Cavendish banana, the same as this one here. Again, you can see it doesn't look very healthy, but I've noticed it has started to push a new leaf through the top. So I hope this one should be able to make it. This definitely needs transplanting, but I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. It does tend to dry out quite quickly in this small container, which I think is one of the main issues I've had with this particular one. It does seem to, I do need to water it quite often because it does dry out so quick. I have a few other banana plants downstairs. I'll show you the progress on them. Yeah, again, I'm hoping that they'll start to look a little bit better in the next month or so. They do tend to improve quite quickly once the weather gets a little bit better. But then again, that isn't guaranteed in our climate. So I'll show you the other banana plants that I've been growing downstairs, and there are a few others that I still haven't brought over to this place yet, but I will leave them for another video once I get them brought over here. So over here I have two Dwarf Orinoco bananas. These were the ones you saw in my previous video growing outside in my parents' garden. They have kept a couple of leaves, or at least one of them, the one at the back, has managed to keep 2 leaves. And this one at the front actually doesn't seem too bad considering it's had it all winter. It has started to yellow a little bit, but it does look fairly healthy apart from that. This is the other one, which is a bit taller, but yeah, you can see there's a lot of the leaf has died back, but it did seem to stop, and there's quite a bit of green still on the leaf all winter. You can also see again those little tags on the plant are actually part of a spider mite treatment, which I will go into more detail on again in the future. You can see on this one here, which had its own pup, the one leaf it has left has started to die, but I'm not too worried about this particular pup because it is still getting all its energy from the main corm, and as far as I can tell, the corm itself seems in good condition. I've also noticed that there are 2 new leaves coming out of both of these banana plants. I might not be able to show on the video, but I can see, if I look down through the pseudostem, you can see the beginning of the leaf starting to push through. So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we should get the next new leaves starting to come through. Yeah, I don't think you can really tell on the camera, but there is a new leaf just starting to come through at the top there. In this one, and also in the other plant as well. So dwarf Orinoco bananas are one of the most cold hardy edible varieties that you can grow. When I say cold hardy, that doesn't mean that they can grow outside year round in a climate like ours where we do get frosts, but it does mean, at least for these particular types of plants, they do tend to grow fairly well, even in a cooler summer that we get. They still won't grow as fast as a Musa Basjoo outside, but it's the best bet really for an edible variety if you want to grow one in the UK or in a similar climate. There are a few other varieties as well. I'm going to try and get hold of a few of them, and if I do, I'll make a video about them as well. But the Dwarf Orinoco is definitely one of the more tried and tested varieties for growing in a cooler climate. They can withstand cooler temperatures than other varieties. Any kind of Cavendish variety will not manage to survive below 10 degrees Celsius, or maybe about 8 degrees Celsius, something like that. Between 8 and 10 degrees Celsius they tend to start to die, whereas the Dwarf Orinoco and Orinoco, the taller version of the dwarf one, they can survive much cooler temperatures, closer to zero, but they definitely won't be growing anything until the temperatures get much higher than that. So yeah, I'll be putting these plants outside again like I did last year, similar to what I did last year, except I'm going to be keeping one of these in a container, but I'll be transplanting it into a larger container, and the other one I'm going to put into the ground. I haven't decided which of the two is going to go in the ground and which one's going to go into the pot yet, but I will be making videos in the future going into more depth of the different bananas I'm going to try outside in the ground this year. The pup, I'm hoping eventually that I'll be able to remove this sometime this year. I might do it when I transplant this either into a larger pot or into the ground. I'm not sure if it'll be this one or the other one that goes into the ground, but I may separate it then. It does look a bit small at the moment, so I definitely want to leave it to get a few new leaves before I removed it from the mother corm. But yeah, I do want to try and get that growing separately as like an extra backup plant. So over here I have one of my Musa Basjoo plants. This one was the one I grew outside in this pot last year. It has managed to keep hold of some of its leaves over winter. It hasn't really grown at all since, I'd say, probably November time, October, November, but I have noticed it also has started to push a new leaf through at the top in the last couple of weeks, so this should begin growing again soon. And this particular plant I'm actually going to plant into the ground this year. Now Musa Basjoo is hardy enough to be left in the ground in our climate over winter, but as I knew I was going to be moving soon, I left it in the pot to make sure that I could easily bring it over to the new place. The plan with this plant this year is to plant it in the ground, and I will make a video when I do that. You might just be able to see there is the little black tip there is the tip of the leaf, the next leaf that's coming through, so that should be pushing through very shortly. Again, the little specks on the leaf are part of the spider mite treatment, so there's nothing harmful or anything about that. So that is another update on some of the banana plants that I'm growing this year. There are a couple of others. I still have another Musa Basjoo that's bigger than this one, and another super dwarf Cavendish banana plant that I haven't brought over yet, but I will be bringing them over at some point soon. So yeah, they do tend to look quite bad after winter, especially when they've been attacked by spider mites and various pests like that. I do think I've managed to get that under control now, so they should start to bounce back, especially now we're in spring, and eventually I will get them hardened off outside, and these, in particular these three here, will be growing outside all summer. Two of them will be in the ground, the Basjoo will be going in the ground, and one of these Dwarf Orinocos, and the other one will just be in a pot grown outside, along with a few of the other less hardy bananas. They'll be also going out in pots in summer, but then coming back in winter. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.